Agnese Ortolani, Senior Analyst, Europe, Economist Intelligence Unit, joins us now. Agnese, thank you so much for being with us. So Meloni is expected to pick her new cabinet in the next few days. And as we just mentioned, one of the most consequential appointments is going to be the finance minister. Give us your thoughts, who you think is going to ultimately get the job and what that means for Italy's financial situation moving forward.
Yes, so I think that the nomination of the finance minister in particular will give us an idea of the policy direction of the new executive and how confrontational it will be with the EU. The most market-friendly option would be an independent, international respected figures, but then she could decide to go with someone like more political figures, such as Giorgetti, as you said, the Minister for Economic Development from the Lega, who is still kind of likely to be perceived as credible. I think that in any case, we will hear a lot of names, but we don't know who this person will be. But what we are sure of is it's very much unlikely that she will pick someone that is perceived as particularly controversial. She spent most of her electoral campaign trying to reassure the markets and international partners that she was fiscally responsible and didn't want to put Italy on a collision course with the EU. And I think also she will want to avoid like reputational damage of putting forward someone that is perceived as particularly controversial, as is happening in 2018 or in the past with other previous governments.
It's been interesting to see that so far Meloni's stance toward the EU has been fairly tame, as you just said. I mean, how would you characterize that relationship moving forward? Do you expect her to retain this somewhat conciliatory approach to EU and even NATO relations?
Well, I think that the risk of clashes with Italy's like EU and Western partners in NATO is very limited, especially in the short term. And I think especially because the public opinion in Italy is strongly pro-EU at the moment, I think that Meloni, she will continue to kind of suppress what was once like radical Euroscepticism, and she will maintain, as she said, this strong pro-NATO and plus like a face like of Italy, and she will maintain strong support to Ukraine, also via sending like a military aid. The problem is then there is more uncertainty on what will happen in the medium term, especially if her popularity wanes in Italy. And so we might see some kind of political risks re-emerging, but most likely over the medium term. And just that if public opinion shifts considerably because of like the energy crunch over the winter. And we know that in the past, in 2014, Meloni was against sanctioning Russia after the Crimea invasion. And we also have who has like a stronger ties with Russia. So we believe that Meloni is more credible than someone like Salvini in terms of reaffirming this kind of strong like a pro-NATO positions. But we still think that there is some risk that might reappear over the medium term. We are not kind of 100% sure.
And yes, we speak so much about this finance minister role and its significance, but I mean, ultimately everything will eventually go through Giorgia Meloni as prime minister then in this case. So does that position even matter who she chooses? I mean, she can almost choose, you know, for the sake of it, just call it a yes man.
Well, yes, I think she will have definitely a say in that. I think that then the balance of the ministries that she will pick, she will give us an idea also of how stable the government is. Of course, Meloni, she is the leader of Fratelli d'Italia. They won the biggest share of the vote. She has an upper end because she clearly won like 26% of the votes versus less than kind of about 8% of the centrist Forza Italia and 8.8% for the far right kind of Lega, Salvini's party. And so she clearly has an upper end in the negotiations, and I think she will have a final say. But of course, there are kind of some risks there in terms of internal like tensions within the ruling coalition that might reappear over the medium term. As we know, kind of Italy is prone to political crisis, although given the strong majority, this executive is likely to be are much kind of more stable, especially in the initial terms.
And yes, thank you so much for that. I think it's certainly going to be an interesting development as we watch exactly how that government is then put together. Agnese Ortolani, the senior analyst for Europe at Economist Intelligence Unit.